Let me ask you, as the Federal Reserve has engaged in measures to strengthen our economy, some critics have argued that any growth that results might somehow be artificial. I know we've heard that here. Or that low interest rates and cheaper credit might lead to financial instability or asset bubbles if investors make riskier investments in order to, quote, reach for the yield. In the current environment, though, my question is, isn't weak demand the greater concern? And I look at consumers pulling back on their spending because of high debt burdens, underwater mortgages from the financial crisis, businesses holding off on investing because of weak consumer demand. Doesn't that change the relative costs, benefits, and risks of different monetary policy actions?
Well, Senator, I completely agree that weak demand for the goods and services that this economy is capable of producing is a major drag holding back the economy. And of course, the purpose of our policies, all of them, are to bring down interest rates in order to spur spending in interest-sensitive sectors. And if we're capable of doing that, that will help to stimulate a favorable dynamic in which jobs are created, incomes rise, more spending takes place, and that creates more jobs throughout the economy. So I agree with your diagnosis, and our programs are intended to remedy the situation of weak demand. On the other hand, it is very important for us to monitor financial risks that could be developing as a consequence of the program or of low interest rates more generally, or even more broadly of developing financial risks in the economy. No one wants to live through another financial crisis, and the Federal Reserve is devoting substantial resources and time and effort at monitoring those risks. At this stage, I don't see risks of financial stability, although there is limited evidence of reach for yield. We don't see a broad buildup in leverage or the development of risks that I think at this stage poses a risk to financial stability.
Well, let me ask you, I appreciate that. Some commentators have suggested that in addition to managing inflation and promoting full employment, the Fed should also monitor and attempt to fight asset bubbles. Do you think it's a feasible job and something that the Fed should be doing? And if so, how would you go about it?
Well, Senator, I think it's important for the Fed, hard as it is, to attempt to detect asset bubbles when they're forming. We devote a good deal of time and attention to monitoring asset prices in different sectors, whether it's house prices or equity prices or farmland prices, to try to see if there is evidence of price misalignments that are developing. By and large, I would say that I don't see evidence at this point in major sectors of asset price misalignments, at least of a level that would threaten financial stability. But if we were to detect such misalignments or other threats to financial stability, in my view, I would like, as a first line of defense, we have a variety of supervisory tools, micro and macro prudential, that we can use to attempt to limit the behavior that is giving rise to those asset price misalignments. I would not rule out using monetary policy as a tool to address asset price misalignments, but because it's a blunt tool and because Congress has asked us to use those tools to achieve the goals of maximum employment and price stability, which are very important goals in their own right. I would like to see monetary policy first and foremost directed toward achieving those goals Congress has given us, and to use other tools in the first instance to try to address potential financial stability threats. But an environment of low interest rates can induce risky behavior, and I would not rule out monetary policy conceivably having to play a role.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.